Hi everyone, welcome. Welcome to a really, really special Sangha night. When we're welcoming back our precious, wonderful Nagavajri. But first, before we get onto the lovely stuff, equally lovely, but a bit more information, I need to tell you some stuff. So tonight is the last night that, however long tradition, of the start time of Sangha night is going to change. Dun, dun, dun. So from next week, there's a new start time to Sangha night. Has everyone heard? There's a new start time to Sangha night. I would get you to repeat it after me, but I'm sure you can pass it on. So 7:15 is when the talks will start. The food, the feast, the food that we have, we eat together, don't we, together before Sangha night. That starts at 6:15. So it's a 15-minute earlier start. And that's going to help, we think, with the winter nights, trying to get home at the end of meditation on a Sangha night is quite hard, and we thought that maybe a 15-minute earlier start would be helpful, so people can stay for the whole evening, maybe. So that's next week. We're starting at the food will go out at 6:15, and the talks will start at 7:15. And next week is actually my talk. I'm going to start the new theme. The new theme is called Great Buddhist Teachers. Some of you might have noticed around the centre a beautiful painting of a lovely big tree that's made of lotuses. Don't know if you've seen that around the building. It's this lovely big tree, and it's called the Tree of Refuge and Respect, I think. That's right, isn't it? Yeah. Its name has changed recently. So this beautiful tree has got very important people sitting on that tree. And the teachings of those people have come down to us through the years, through our teacher, Sangharakshita, to us. And so we're going to honour some of the people that are on that tree in a series called Great Buddhist Teachers. It's dead interesting. Loads of really good stories about important people from from our Buddhist tradition. So that's the first night next week, and we're starting with the Great Magician. And can anyone guess who that might be? It's not Padmasambhava. No. Yeah. Yeah, it is. I've written the talk. It's okay. We're going to have the talk. I just had a big thing. But it's not Milarepa. It is. Yes, Milarepa. You wrote the poster. Yeah, so it's Milarepa. Fantastic story of Milarepa, and I'll be telling that next week. So come to that. And yeah, so there's a couple of other things I need to, one of the things is at the end of the night, there might be some help needed. Not so much within here, because we're going to keep the room as it is for things that are happening in the week. But it might be that the people in the kitchen need a hand. So if at the end of the night you can, what? We do need help. Yes, we do. Yeah, because I was thinking it might not be too bad, but yes. So is there anyone who would like to stay behind and help us? We're going to do a dissolving of the evening ritual together, so that we come together, dissolve the shrine as we need to, dissolve the energy that we've created in the room as part of the ritual, and then transfer all of that merit out into the world. So the end of festivals, the end of evenings like this will be much more of a ritual that we'll do together to transfer our merits out. So if you'd like to be part of that, it's going to be nice, I think. If you'd like to be part of that, just come back at the end. I'll ring a bell and we'll come back maybe 10 minutes after the end of the ritual tonight. So one last thing, and then we'll move on. One last thing is that if you've never been to a puja before, we're going to do something called a threefold puja tonight. And if you've never been to one of those before, it might be nice to just chat about how it was. You might like to ask some questions, or you might have some comments and reflections on it that you'd like to talk through. And if you would like to do that, then at the end of the night, you can go into the green room and somebody will be in there to meet you. Do we know who that is? Pranya Hidayat. Okay, so let's change of thing, whatever that is. So tonight didn't happen out of the blue. Tonight happened as a result of lots of different people coming together and contributing something towards tonight happening. And so there are some people that I would really like to thank for what they've done to bring tonight together. So first of all, Sarah, who made the shrine, who did the shrine. And at the very end, a little bit of help from Sean, but mostly it was Sarah who did the shrine. So how beautiful is that? Can we just say thank you to Sarah? And I think it's the last one for a while. It's the last one you're going to do for a while. It's the last one. Oh, so I've just found that out recently. But yes, thank you, Sarah, and thank you, Sean, for your contributions at the end. And there was a group of Nagavajri's friends who got together, and that WhatsApp group has been pinging away like mad for the past 2 weeks. And that is T, Emma, Hannah and Izzy, who've got together to do all kinds of loveliness tonight. So thank you for that, and I'm sure Nagavajri wants to say thank you. Paddy, Pranya Hidayat, T and Paul have done tons of work getting the building ready, and I'll add in the choir are going to come up and sing in a minute. So thank you to you, and thank you to me for lots of things that I've done too. I hope I haven't forgotten anyone. It's not horrible to think that I might have forgotten someone, but I hope I haven't. Okay, so we've got various people involved in the puja tonight, and I'm sure they don't need thanking. I'm sure that they are just thrilled to be part of it. So let's begin. I'll take this off for now. So how we're going to, I'll just tell you what we're going to do in the first part. Just tell you about the first part of the evening first. So we're going to, the choir is going to come up in a minute and sing the blessings for Nagavajri. And something lovely is going to happen during that time. And then when that's all happened, Birdie Naga is going to come up and talk for a little while about what ordination is. Then Mokshalila has the great honour and privilege to come up and rejoice in Nagavajri. She's going to tell us all about Nagavajri. If you've never met her, then Mokshalila is going to let you know all about her. And then Shrivati is going to come up and explain all about Nagavajri's name, how she got it. And Shrivati will explain all about that when she comes up. And then we get to hear from Nagavajri herself. And when Nagavajri's finished talking about her experience of our ordination, then we'll have a 5-minute leg stretch, and it really is a leg stretch and a dash to the toilet if you need one, and a dash back. So it's not a cup of tea break. It's really a leg stretch, and then we'll go into the ritual and say a little bit more about that. So we'll start the first half of the evening now, and when the blessings have been sung and the choir has sat down, then Bodhi Naga will come up and he'll take over from there. So if the choir would like to come up. Arrange yourselves there. Are we ready? Come on, we're singing to Nagavajri. May all blessings be yours. May all gods protect you. By the power of all Buddhas, may all happiness be yours. May all blessings be yours. May all gods protect you. By the power of all dharmas, may all happiness be yours. May all blessings be yours. May all gods protect you. By the power of all sanghas, may all happiness be yours.
That was very beautiful from the choir. So I've got a 10-minute slot to give a Dharma talk about ordination in the context of our Sangha Night series, because this is the culmination of our Sangha Night series, which is this amazing celebration with Nagavajri back and loads of Sangha people here. So Anna's going to wave at me when it's time to stop talking, so I'll try to stop talking then. So we have had a fantastic series, actually. Really enjoyed this series on the Karaniya Metta Sutta, and it's culminating this evening with welcoming back Nagavajri from her ordination. And so I want to connect, or just talk to, what is ordination in the context of this series. So we've been looking at the Buddha's teaching on how to live your life. The Karaniya Metta Sutta is a how to live your life Metta Sutta. That's what it translates as. And the Buddha says, if you want to know how to be happy and find perfect peace, this is how you need to live. And he lays out a path of practice, which culminates in liberation from samsara, culminates in enlightenment. But the focus is on metta. It's a path of loving kindness. And we've been looking at Sangharakshita's seminar, Living with Kindness, as text, as a commentary. So we've been also looking at the system of Dharma life, 5 stages of the Dharma life that you go through, which is also mapped out in this sutta as well. So we saw last week that the sutta ends with, if you live in this way, cultivating metta for all beings, an unlimited heart of loving kindness for all beings, eventually you will be liberated from the wheel of samsara forever. That's where the sutta ends. But we said last week that that's not where the Dharma life ends. And we saw that the Buddha wasn't just liberated from the wheel of samsara and then that's the end. He lived the rest of his life acting out of compassion for the beings he came into contact with. He spent the rest of his life walking around India, meeting people and trying to communicate the Dharma to them so that they could be liberated as well. So we saw that the path culminates in what we call spontaneous, compassionate activity. Somebody who has practiced metta to the extent that they no longer experience themselves as distinct from other beings. They no longer place their own needs above as a core. They're no longer in that self-interested way that we experience ourselves. They just respond compassionately to the needs of the people around them. And we saw examples of how the Buddha lived in this way. But then the story doesn't end there either, because the people that the Buddha met responded to what he had to say, and they wanted to commit to become his disciples. You often hear kind of set verse where the people that met the Buddha and responded to him said, well, this is marvelous. I want to go for refuge. I want to become a disciple of the Buddha. I want to go for refuge to the Buddha, to his teaching and to his Sangha. I want to become ordained. I want to become a disciple of the Buddha. So the Buddha shared his message, and then people heard it and responded, and they wanted to commit to it. They wanted to go for refuge to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. And that's what makes you a Buddhist. Buddhism isn't something you learn about. It's not something you talk about. It's something that you encounter and respond to and act on. That's what makes you a Buddhist, is that movement of committing to acting on in response to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. And we use the language of going for refuge to the three jewels. That's what makes you a Buddhist. And you can see that the Buddhist path, in a way, could also be seen as deepening levels of commitment to the three jewels, deepening levels of going for refuge to the three jewels. And in a few weeks, I've been talking to somebody this evening, a few people, about a dozen or more people will make that first, what we call provisional commitment to the three jewels. They'll become mitras within our community, where they're responding in the same way that people have done for centuries to the Buddha's teaching. So yes, I'm a Buddhist. I want to follow the Buddha and his teaching. So that'll be happening in a few weeks. But then it's also possible, it's possible to go deeper than that, to go for refuge more deeply than that. An ordination in this context is where the three jewels become central, the central principle around which you organize all of your life, that you orientate all of your life. It's like a magnet. The three jewels become a magnet that just reorganizes your being and your consciousness and your life around it. And at the point of ordination, somebody is witnessed by their preceptor to be effectively going for refuge to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha in all the aspects of their life. How am I doing for time, Anna? Good, okay. So we talked last week also about receptivity. And so we talked about, in this series, 5 aspects of the Dharma life, 5 stages. And in the beginning of the Karaniya Metta Sutta, we're focusing on ethics and integration and on positive emotion. And I want to say that other people will rejoice in Nagavajri, but she really excels in positive emotion. That's one thing I really associate with Nagavajri, is that positivity and positive emotion, and metta, which is an important positive emotion. So in the early stages, it's very much ourself working with the law of karma to transform our being. That's the early stages. And I've talked about how, we experience a self in here and an other out there. And part of the practice of living a path of metta is gradually dissolving that barrier, that distinction between self and other. But we experience that we're not enlightened, I'm not enlightened. We experience this as self and other. So there's very much a sense of ourself working with the law of karma, transforming ourself in those stages. But when someone is ordained, they're making a commitment to become receptive, to become open to something other, something that isn't the self, something beyond the self, something that transcends that self-other dichotomy. So at the stages of ordination, we're making a commitment to spiritual death and to spiritual rebirth, those later stages, and to opening up to the Dharma, as well as working with karma, to open up to the Dharma. So Nagavajri has taken on a new name symbolizing the death of her old identity. She's taken on a visualization practice of Padmasambhava, which is the aspect of spiritual rebirth, developing a relationship with the goal, with the ideal, through the figure of Padmasambhava. I just wanted to read something from Sangharakshita. So he gave a talk in 1990 called My Relation to the Order. And there was 380 order members. And he talked about how he thought that was a miracle, that from this one single lotus, which was him in an inadequate pot, an inadequate lotus in an inadequate pot, he described himself as, there was now a forest of lotuses, 380 order members. And now, however many years later than that it is now, there's over 3,000 order members. It really is a miracle. And Nagavajri is the latest, or among the batch of the latest of those order members. So in terms of being receptive to making a commitment to be receptive to something intangible, something other, something mysterious, I just wanted to read something from Sangharakshita's talk. He said that, not long ago, I spoke of having taken upon myself the onerous responsibility of founding the order. I indeed took that responsibility upon myself, and it was indeed an onerous one. Nonetheless, there are times when, far from feeling that it was I who took on the responsibility, I feel that it was the responsibility that took on me. There are times when I am dimly aware of a vast overshadowing consciousness that has, through me, founded the order and set in motion our whole movement. That's quite a thing to say. Something took the responsibility, took on him, something founded the order and the movement through him. And so there's something intangible and mysterious about ordination, that you're committing to that, something that transcends self and other. You're committing to being receptive to that, to meditating on that, to move towards that more deeply. And it's symbolized by the symbol of the 1,000-armed Avalokiteshvara as a symbol for our order, which I mentioned this figure last week in terms of compassion and compassionate activity. But Sangharakshita said, well, we can see each order member as being a hand of Avalokiteshvara, and there's now over 3,000 hands, and Nagavajri is one of those, or very capable one of those hands, which we're going to hear about very shortly. At the heart of that is something mysterious, the bodhicitta, the awakened mind, that the two central hands of Avalokiteshvara hold. At the heart of our order is something mysterious and wonderful that can't be pinned down or understood. So that's 10 minutes slot just to place ordination in the context of our series, but you'll hear much more about ordination and about Nagavajri next. And just delighted in this whole evening, and delighted we've got Nagavajri, and fantastic.
Well, it's my very great pleasure to rejoice in Nagavajri. And, I've only got 5 minutes, but I'm just going to say a few things about what I really appreciate about her.
Sorry, Moxie.
Oh, I'm not.
Can we move it up a bit higher?
Yes. Is that high? How high?
It's as close as high as you can get.
You do it.
There we go.
I think friendship is one of the things that's absolutely on top. And Nagavajri has a very great capacity for friendship and connection. And she has this wonderful, engaging and joyful presence. And I know when I'm in the Buddhist centre, I can usually hear Nagavajri's laughter somewhere. And this lovely sort of sense of energy that's just around. And I think people are very drawn to her. And I remember her saying in a talk quite a long time ago that friendship, I think you said, that's what my life is for. So, and she has this attitude of abundance, and she has a lot of friends, and there's always space for more. And she sort of reaches out to people, whether that's in introductory courses or, Sangha night or retreats. She's always reaching out to people. And she cares very deeply for those in her life. And I've very much been on the end of that. And I remember a few years ago, our son Ben went through a very distressing time in his life. And he moved back home again with his little daughter just for a few months. And Nagavajri and Aridasa invited us all out for lunch. And it was just incredibly heartwarming. And I felt like Nagavajri had sort of taken us under her wing. She's a bit like that, she takes you under her wing. I'm also very moved by the relationship that she has with her mum and dad. And some of you may know that her mum has a very different faith. And Nagavajri isn't living a conventional life, at least according to how they probably would imagine they were going to live. And she's taken such great care in communicating about Buddhism and how she's chosen to live her life. And she builds bridges. That's what I've noticed about her. She always builds bridges. She includes them, but without compromising on her own Buddhist practice. And actually, that is a really difficult path to tread at times. That's not easy to do. So this leads me on to another of her great qualities, ardency. She knows her own mind. And when I was speaking to Aksha about Nagavajri, he used the word spirited, which I thought was a really good word. So I've known you, I think, for about 7 years. And as long as I've known her, she's had this very clear and unwavering faith and trust in the path of the Buddha. And she set up her living conditions to absolutely align with her Buddhist life. And she's a professional woman. She has a lot of responsibility as an optometrist. And she's very wholehearted in her work. And she only works she works 3 days a week doing that job, doing that work. And that leaves her a lot of time for, spiritual practice. And when I was thinking about her, I was thinking about the tantric precepts. And the tantric precepts are very much based around energy. And one of them is using the appropriate amount of energy for any given task or purpose. And I think Nagavajri really exemplifies this in her life. So she uses, it seems to me, just the right amount of energy for those ordinary human things, like earning a living and having a house, shopping, cooking, all those things, those ordinary human activities. She uses just the right amount of energy, and then there's plenty of energy left over to devote to personal practice and Sangha. On a personal level, I absolutely love spending time with her. I love our conversations. She's very independent, an independent and free thinker, and she comes to her own conclusions. And actually, I don't think I've ever witnessed her going for the quiet life or just fitting in. Quite the opposite. And a few years ago, it's quite difficult to put this into words, but one of the retreat centres. Oh, I have to go on to the next bit. One of the retreat centres had posted a declaration on their site, and it was on the sort of top page, and it was more really to do with sort of a modern cultural theme. And Nagavajri wasn't too happy about this. She didn't quite feel that the sort of underlying core Buddhist principles were really being sort of focused on enough. And I was really impressed because she didn't leave it there. She spoke to the retreat centre and she spoke to order members on that retreat. And I thought that was amazing. I just thought that's great. It takes a lot of courage and confidence. And trust, in her own questioning. Very impressed, not willing to just let go. And I just wanted to end with saying I think she's got an incredible experimental and imaginative side to her. I was going to say creative, but I don't think that's quite right. I think it's experimental. And many of you will know, I've been quite surprised, sort of baking all these amazing buns and cakes and puddings and devising new recipes, new games, decorating her diary, doing her dream journal. There's always something new that's just spilling out. It's wonderful. And I'm not a big Instagrammer, but I do follow Nagavajri. I think you are the only person I follow. I just wanted to say, just a good thing to remember, it's Halloween. Halloween is coming up in October. And again, many of you will know, I think it is your favourite time of year, isn't it? And, you know, cobwebs and pumpkins and ghosts will abound, I'm sure. And it's a delight to sort of witness all that play. But actually underneath all of that, there is, of course, this theme of impermanence and death. And Nagavajri really turns towards that. She's only 35. Yeah, 35. And, you know, she turns absolutely wholeheartedly towards impermanence and death as a constant reflection. But it's sort of bound up with this wonderful, playful, experimental energy, and somehow she can hold both the depth and that sort of play in this wonderful bundle. So Nagavajri, I think you are such a clear and beautiful jewel. I think it's wonderful that you're going to be in the Sheffield Women's Order. So.
We dressed specially. So I'm really happy to be introducing you to Nagavajri and tell you a bit about her name. But I thought I'd just start by speaking more generally. So for those of you not familiar, my role in relation to this lovely woman is her private preceptor. So in the context of the ordination retreat and, all your practice leading up to ordination, I'm the person who has, along with all her other spiritual friends, has been helping to support and guide her towards ordination, and then be the one that witnesses her alone in the private ordination ceremony, witnessing the effectiveness of her going for refuge to the three jewels, representing that even if nobody else in the whole wide world was doing any of this, she would still be making that commitment. So that's quite an honour to be the person who sits there and goes, I see you. And it's a very simple but very beautiful ritual. And Vajratara, who some of you will know, she used to be in Sheffield, she is Nagavajri's public preceptor. That's when it's all about doing it with every other person who's getting ordained at the same time. It's a collective thing as well. So the name-giving thing, some of you might be wondering, what's that all about? Why, you know, when you maybe first came onto the centre, why do these people wearing the little white or golden scarves have these Indian-sounding names? It's partly traditional to be given a new name as you embark on this big change in your life, this fresh stage of deeper commitment. And because the names are in ancient Buddhist languages of Pali and Sanskrit, it links you to that lineage. So it's quite powerful to have that sense of connection. But also, as an adult, to have no control over a change in your name, that's a spiritual practice in itself. She had no idea what she was going to be given. You don't know if you're going to like it. You don't know if you're going to be able to pronounce it. You don't know if you're going to remember it. You see people sometimes where people call out to them when they're in the retreat centre and they're saying their new name and it's not registered yet. They don't hear it. So it's a spiritual teaching. If you're given a name with a powerful or special or particular meaning, it's a reminder of our best selves, of our potential. So to have this name is a teaching. It's also a gift because in a way, preceptors could almost choose any, I don't want to say any old order names. But, you know, these names, because they're about positive qualities that are needed and wanted in the world, there's many names that could be given, but preceptors choose this name, and it's a gift, and we hope that it will be of benefit. So this is one of the hardest names. I've ordained a few people, and this is one of the hardest names to tell you what it really means. I'm not really sure. But I know it's her name. So when it arrived as the name that I wanted to give to her, I actually thought, oh, blimey, that's got a lot of welly. It's a powerful name. And then I thought, I want to give her this big name. Nagavajri needs a big name because she is a big person. And I wanted to, in a way, not throw down the gauntlet of a challenge, although I think it is a provocative name. And I will explain more about what it means in a minute. But I felt it was appropriate that she had a big name. Oh, no. Can I have an extra minute or two, please? Thank you very much. So, Nagavajri's name means she who is the Vajra of the Nagas or dragons. Or, if you prefer, Dragon Diamond Thunderbolt. I told you it was a big name. So, as most of you know, Nagas are long-lived, wise serpents who live at the bottom of the ocean. They're often tasked with guarding treasures, including wisdom teachings. And Vajras are an amazing symbol that's a fusion of the cutting through power of a diamond and the irresistible force of a thunderbolt. So she is the Vajra of the Nagas. What does that mean? If you're a Vajra of the Nagas, you're in a way their servant. Like Bodhinaga said of the 1,000 arms of Avalokiteshvara, each of those hands has an implement in it. Nagavajri herself is an implement. She's a diamond thunderbolt wielded by dragons or Nagas, but also by the Buddha, because Naga is another name for or epithet for the Buddha. So she is the servant of the Buddha. So what does it mean to be a Vajra? On one level, you could say it's all that energy that Moksha Leela referred to, all that giving, that support that she gives to various activities here, the support she's given to Sangha Gita in her Mitra convening and the young Buddhist activities. There's all of that and what she does for her friends and her family. But really, the Vajra is something that I can't really talk about because it's a symbol for transcendental reality. What does that mean for her to be a symbol of transcendental reality? Well, we're all transcendentally real. We just need to discover our true natures. So, yeah. So the image that also came to my mind is, you know, like in the getting of diamonds or the finding of gold, you know, we're all fundamentally diamonds, we're all gold, but sometimes you have to do quite a bit of excavation to get to a diamond. You'd have to do a lot of sifting to get to the gold. And our Buddhist names are reminders for us to keep doing whatever that work might mean, that loving spiritual work to find and discover our true nature. Thanks for the extra time, by the way. She has a long-standing connection with Nagas and dragons. They're very meaningful to her, and I knew that. And I like the aspect of them that they're protectors. And as I said to her in her public ordination ceremony, because she is a servant of the Nagas, she's going to have access to those precious teachings that they guard and preserve, because she's right in there with them. So it's, as I say, a big name. It's full of mystery, it's full of power, but it's not without something still and gentle at its heart, because if through her practice she continues to connect with what is real, that's what's at the center of everything. There's love and there's beauty. So it's a muscular name in a way, but it's also got a fundamental stillness at its heart. So I give you Nagavajri, the Vajra of the Nagas.
It's very hard to start this talk. I'm going to start with gratitude. And I could just talk for an hour just on my gratitude for you all, for like the immense amount of love and friendship you have given me, and how grateful and lucky I am to be a part of this Sheffield Sangha. It's such a beautiful and strong context to practice. And like, I feel so like, you know, you've given me my life, like finding this centre and practicing these three jewels. It's just immeasurable and beyond words, really. Yes, it's impossible to name you all, but I deeply love you. Yeah, thank you so much. And yeah, I thought I will name Srivati and Vajratara, who are my preceptors. So Srivati ordained me privately and Vajratara ordained me publicly and brought me into this order. And it just felt really important to say your names. And I feel very much I'm a reflection of all of your love and the love of so many people in the Sangha. So I feel very strongly like your support standing here. And I thought to talk about the ordination, I thought I'd share a sort of thread, a reflection and a moment from that time. And just say a little bit about how I found being there. So I was ordained in Spain in Akashavana, which is the forest realm of luminous space. And it is a magnificent and mythic realm. Like, it is remarkable. So it's very, very, it was an experience like nothing I've ever experienced before, being in that realm. And it's a realm of huge skies and soaring vultures and loads of gorgeous little lizards. Oh. And so the thread I chose to share with you was something, so Vajratara was leading the retreat, and something that I just found incredibly helpful, and I think I will find incredibly helpful for the rest of my life, which was that experiences come and go. So what she was saying is, this was like early on in our retreat, it doesn't really matter how this retreat goes. You know, like people can get quite like, oh, it's my ordination retreat, understandably, you know, something you've been preparing for so long. But she was saying it doesn't really matter what happens, as long as you keep deepening your going for refuge and turning towards the three jewels. It doesn't matter what sort of a time you're having, it's sort of beyond that. And I just thought, oh, of course, it was so helpful. And I just thought for all the retreats and solitaries and all the experiences I have in the future, it doesn't really matter what happens as such. What matters is the deepening of your going for refuge. And it was such a gift for her to share that with us. And a reflection kind of linked to that really was about missing people. So I usually deeply miss people when I'm away on retreat, and especially when I'm on solitary retreat. And I've heard people say, oh, when I'm on solitary retreat, I can feel so deeply connected to my loved ones, like even more connected than when I'm with them. And I was like, that sounds good. But in my experience so far, when I've gone on solitary retreat, I found it incredibly painful. And I just felt this deep, deep missing and longing and yearning. And what I realized on this retreat was, these circumstances and these conditions, it was like the deepest level of sort of fulfillment and contentment I've ever experienced, because my whole life was leading to this retreat and everything felt so aligned to be there and to practice in that realm, that I was in this very deep set of beautiful mental states for a lot of it, not for all of it, but for a lot of it, there was just this, I actually became very introverted on the retreat, which was a new experience for me, because actually something very rich and inner was unfolding. And I realized, and so I really deeply missed so many of you, but it felt very beautiful and I felt really connected to you. And I was like, that's what it is. It's if you're in positive mental states, you can miss people and feel deeply, deeply connected to your loved ones. So it's really helpful. Like, okay. And I remember it was really clear because I had a really clear moment of reflecting on my friends and missing them and feeling really happy. And then later in the day, I slipped into some tighter, negative mental states. And then when I brought people to mind, I just was like, I want to be with them. And I felt that kind of like aversion to my current experience and longing for something different. And I was like, yeah, of course, really simple, but so helpful. So I was like, So when in my future experiences, it's just taking a step back. It's what can I do to cultivate a more positive mental state when I'm in that deep missing of people? And then the connection just comes in. It's like I've missed a step before and now I understand. I can kind of go back. So it's like, great. And a moment from the retreat. So we'd have these gorgeous moments, like a good half hour where we'd be encouraged to just dwell in nature, pick a spot and dwell in nature. And Vajratara would invite us to just take in some wonderment, which is a great word. And yeah, a lot of those moments, those half hours, were some of the best times in that retreat experience for me. And she talked about, let nature come to you, like let your surroundings come to you. And almost the sense I got was don't really try and pick somewhere, just go and sit almost, just go out in nature and just choose somewhere. And I think one of the first times she'd said that, like, let it come to you, this thing about relaxing, this thing about wonder. So yeah, I went out and I just sat and I just laid down and I was looking up at this big blue sky. And a vulture started to fly in. And I thought, beautiful. And then another vulture. And then the sky just filled with them. And to that point, I'd seen like 2 or 3 at a time. And there were like over 20 vultures. And I was just like, right, okay, great. And it just felt like there was a really big lesson for my life in there. There's something about relaxing and letting go and just letting things come. Like letting go and letting come, And then I'm going to share a little bit about my initial reflections on this name I've been given, a little bit about my sadhana, Padmasambhava, my yidam, and a little bit about being in the order. Yeah, it was probably like the strongest moment of my life was in this private ordination ceremony with Srivati, and her giving me and telling me and giving me this gift of this name. And there was this sensation in my body that's like unlike anything I've ever experienced before. And it was in the kind of like a heart opening, but much kind of stronger and fiercer, like deeply positive, but quite like that. And an image that came to mind was, if you've ever had a dream where you're in your house and it's sort of your house, but it isn't. And then you find this door to another room and you're like, and there's this whole new bit of your home that you never knew about. And you're like, this was here. A bit like that. That's the sort of thing that happened in my heart with this name. Yeah. And yeah, as Srivati said, I have this very long-standing and deep connection to Nagas, like a sort of sense of protection from them and a deep love for them. So it was such a gift to be given Naga in my name. And then Nagavajri, I think the Vajra just totally surprised me, like the strength of it. I think that's part of the like, actually, because it is such a strong name. And it was really great to have lots of time to absorb it and reflect on it. And there was a real sense of it, oh, this is my true name. I really had a sense of that. And it's, I think to begin with, but I had quite a big sense of responsibility that came with it and of stepping into it, like a sense of it's a gift and I'll be stepping into this for the rest of my life. So I had a thread of that on the retreat. And then on the day of the public ordination ceremony, like people give each other cards, which is lovely. And there are a couple of women who live at Akashavana in the community who are remarkable. There's a woman called Bodhi Pakshini who lives in that community who I really deeply love. I've only just met her, but I just felt so much love and admiration for her. And in the card she gave me, she wrote, "You're already your name," which was such a kind, lovely, like just a gift to say those words to me, because I feel like now I can hold both. It's like, I'm already my name and it is something I'll be growing into for the rest. It's like both are true at the same time. And that's really balanced me out, I think, as I adjust to being Nagavajri. And yes, ordination, as Bodhi Naga touched on, Yidam means oath-bound. So you take on a figure of enlightenment that you are oath-bound to, that you meditate on and that you dwell with in your day-to-day life and in meditation. To sort of lead you to the goal, lead you to enlightenment. So sadhana means lead straight to the goal. So it's not just a meditation practice, it's your life. It's like everything around it. And I have taken on Padmasambhava as my yidam. And it's very hard to talk much about that. But what I wanted to convey was, and this actually was very helpful, I realized this going into the ordination retreat, and then it deepened whilst I was there, was my connection to Padmasambhava is very strong and very subtle, and something about how important subtlety is, because I think for years I haven't really got that, actually. And you can have a very profound and deep connection that feels very subtle, and both can be true at the same time. And subtlety just feels incredibly important, just to keep opening up to what's subtle and what's here right now, and where's Padmasambhava right now. That feels really, really precious. And then on being in the order, yeah, I think this real sense of, like when I chanted the refuges, both in my private and public ordination ceremony, it had a real sense of like, all the times I've chanted the refuges and precepts have been leading to these particular moments, and this is what my life is for. And I want to serve. I think service has become more and more and more important to me in these last years. So another huge gift is within my name, that there is service built into my name. I'm really grateful for that. Yeah, so I think how I feel at the moment is, as much Leela said, my life is for friendship, and my life is for service, and my life is for the three jewels. Yeah. So my name is Nagavajri. And it's beautiful to be back with you all. Thank you.
Okay, 5 minutes leg stretch and see you back in here in about 5-6 minutes.
That's from the room staff room, not from this podcast.
Is that all right, Andy, do you think? That way a bit. No more. Thank you.
I might just borrow it, if that's okay, just to herd people back in. Yeah. It's still got, it's 25 plus the intent. So you've got the blessings. Yes, I do. Yeah, you're going to see about the tea afterwards. I'll do that after. Through to the shrine. I'll just do it as you're going through the what's happening. Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming back so quickly. That's really, really helpful. Thank you.
So settle down now for the second part of the evening. Srimati is going to lead us through threefold puja, and she's going to tell us all about what's going to happen. Just a reminder, oh sorry, a bit more sound. It might be me just being a bit quieter to excitement. Just to remind you that if you would like to join the group afterwards to talk about the puja, if it's your first time, then that can be in the green room. And if you'd like to stay in the room,
So we'll begin by saluting the three jewels. And calling the songs. Namo Buddhaya. Namo Buddhaya. Namo Dhammaya. Namo Dhammaya. Namo Sanghaya. Namo Sanghaya. Namo Namah. Namo Namah. Om. Om. So we're going to do the threefold puja, which is a sequence of verses giving expression to a lovely word that we don't get to use perhaps enough in ordinary life, which is reverence. Reverence. Something about this looking up, this appreciation, this respect, devotion. And it comes in 3 stages. And we'll do it in call and response. So for those of you who've not done this before, it's a bit like when we saluted the shrine. I'll say a line, and if you want to, you repeat it after me. And after these 3 sections of the threefold puja, I'm going to invite Nagavajri to come and collect the 3 traditional offerings, which she's done a few times in the course of her spiritual life. We use these offerings for all our key ceremonies, such as becoming a mitra and when you get ordained, both parts of that. So she'll be making those offerings again, representing that openness and receptivity to what is most precious in the form of a candle, flower and incense. And then I'm going to lead us in the same blessings that the choir sang so beautifully, but we'll do those in call and response, so everybody will be able to shower with you with even more blessings. And then there will be some heartiness. There will be an expression of hearty excitement and pleasure and rejoicing. It may involve small objects that look like this. And then Shubha Singha, who is somewhere, thank you, he's going to read a very special reading which gives expression to the import of what ordination means. And then Pranya Hridaya is going to lead us in the Shakyamuni mantra. And if you wish to, during the mantra, you can come up to the front, and there are beautiful petals which you can use as offerings to the shrine. So the invitation is to, I quote, come up in droves. Don't hold back, just, I'll move over a little bit so we can have like 6, 7, 8 people, just come up. It's just to give, it's a kinesthetic thing, making offerings. We get to physically give something that's an expression of our gratitude, what's the word I'm looking for, appreciation and so on. reverence, thank you. And at the end of that, I'll ring a bell, and that will be the end of our evening, apart from those of you who may be helping or staying for conversation. Have I forgotten anything? Thank you. There will be tea served at the end as well. Thank you. So let's just sit for a moment. Check that we're here in awareness. Maybe just connecting with our bodies, feeling ourselves supported by our seat. And connecting with what's precious to us in what we've heard this evening, what we can see on the shrine, or just the felt sense we have of being here together as part of this Sangha. The threefold puja. Opening reverence. We reverence the Buddha.
We reverence the Buddha,
The perfectly enlightened one.
the perfectly enlightened one,
The shower of the way.
the shower of the way.
We reverence the Dharma.
We reverence the Dharma,
The teaching of the Buddha,
the teaching of the Buddha,
which leads from darkness to light.
which leads from darkness to light.
We reverence the Sangha,
We reverence the Sangha,
the fellowship of the Buddha's disciples,
the fellowship of the Buddha's disciples,
that inspires and guides.
that inspires and guides.
Reverence to the three jewels. We reverence the Buddha
We reverence the Buddha,
and aspire to follow him.
and aspire to follow him.
The Buddha was born
The Buddha was born,
as we are born.
as we are born.
What the Buddha overcame,
What the Buddha overcame,
we too can overcome.
we too can overcome.
What the Buddha attained,
What the Buddha attained,
we too can attain.
we too can attain.
We reverence the Dharma
We reverence the Dharma,
and aspire to follow it
and aspire to follow it,
with body, speech and mind
with body, speech and mind,
until the end.
until the end.
The truth in all its aspects,
The truth in all its aspects,
the path in all its stages.
the path in all its stages.
We aspire to study,
We aspire to study,
practice,
practice,
realize.
realize.
We reverence the Sangha
We reverence the Sangha,
and aspire to follow it,
and aspire to follow it,
the fellowship of those who tread the way.
the fellowship of those who tread the way,
as one by one
as one by one,
we make our own commitment,
we make our own commitment,
an ever-widening circle,
an ever-widening circle,
the Sangha grows.
the Sangha grows.
Offerings to the Buddha. Reverencing the Buddha,
Reverencing the Buddha,
we offer flowers,
we offer flowers,
flowers that today
flowers that today
are fresh and sweetly blooming,
are fresh and sweetly blooming,
flowers that tomorrow
flowers that tomorrow
are faded and fallen.
are faded and fallen.
Our bodies too,
Our bodies too,
like flowers, will pass away.
like flowers, will pass away.
Reverencing the Buddha,
Reverencing the Buddha,
we offer candles
we offer candles.
to Him who is the light.
To Him who is the light,
We offer light
we offer light.
from His greater lamp,
From His greater lamp,
a lesser lamp we light within us,
a lesser lamp we light within us.
the lamp of Bodhi shining within our hearts.
The lamp of Bodhi shining within our hearts.
Reverencing the Buddha,
Reverencing the Buddha,
we offer incense,
we offer incense.
incense whose fragrance pervades the air,
Incense whose fragrance pervades the air.
the fragrance of the perfect life,
The fragrance of the perfect life,
sweeter than incense,
sweeter than incense,
spreads in all directions
spreads in all directions
throughout the world.
throughout the world.
And now the blessings in call and response. May all blessings be yours.
May all blessings be yours.
May all powers protect you.
May all powers protect you.
By the power of the Buddhas.
By the power of the Buddhas.
May all happiness be yours.
May all happiness be yours.
May all blessings be yours.
May all blessings be yours.
May all powers protect you.
May all powers protect you.
By the power of the Dharma.
by the power of the Dharma.
May all happiness be yours.
May all happiness be yours.
May all blessings be yours.
May all blessings be yours.
May all powers protect you.
May all powers protect you.
By the power of the Sangha,
By the power of the Sangha.
may all happiness be yours.
May all happiness be yours.
And now 3 hearty sadhus.
Sadhu! Sadhu!
And now the reading from Shubha Singha.
Just as the Buddhas before me set their minds on enlightenment, just as they trained on the Buddha's path, so now I too, for the welfare of the world, set my mind on enlightenment. So now I too will train on the Buddha's path. Today my life has borne fruit. Today I have been born in the family of the Buddha. Today I have become one of the Buddha's clan. Just like a blind man who finds by chance a jewel in a dung heap, so by some chance this precious attitude has arisen in me. This is the elixir of life that puts an end to death. This is the priceless treasure that ends all poverty on earth. This is the supreme medicine that cures the world's disease. This is the bridge to freedom that leads from unhappy states. For the whole procession of humanity, travelling the roads of existence in search of happiness, this will give them joy. Today, in the presence of the Buddhas, I invite the world to be my guest at a great feast of delight. May all beings rejoice.
Om Muni Muni Maha Muni Shakya Muni Swaha. Om Muni Muni Maha Muni Shakya Muni Swaha.
Om Muni Muni Maha Muni Shakya Muni Swaha. Om Muni Muni Maha Muni Shakya Muni Swaha. Om Muni Muni Maha Muni Shakya Muni Swaha. Om Muni Muni Maha Muni Shakya Muni Swaha. Om Muni Muni Maha Muni Shakya Muni Swaha. Om Muni Muni Maha Muni Shakya Muni Swaha. Muni Muni Maha Muni Shakya Muni Swaha. Om 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 Muni Muni Maha Muni Shakya
Shakyamuni Swaha. Om Muni Muni Mahamuni 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 Shakyamuni Swaha.